Today, we join virtually every other news organization in declining to agree to the Pentagon's new requirements, which would restrict journalists' abilities to keep the nation and the world informed of important national security issues. The policy is without precedent and threatens core journalistic protections. We will continue to cover the U.S. military, as each of our organizations has done for many decades, upholding the principles of a free and independent press. That's ABC News, CBS News, CNN, Fox News Media, and NBC News signing that.
Now, it doesn't seem like the whole story is being told to our viewers here. What they're really doing, they want to spoon feed information to the journalists, and that will be their story. That's not journalism.
In a follow-up to a video we did a couple of days ago, Donald Trump's censorious policies have become so objectively and egregiously terrible that even Fox News has joined other news outlets in solidarity, condemning this not only in a written statement, but now on live TV, on camera, and they're joined by a conservative Fox News analyst and former conservative general in the United States military. That's how bad this has become. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, before I play this clip of Fox News host Bret Baier, who has golfed with Donald Trump, he's been on Donald Trump's bad side from time to time because he'll occasionally grill Trump, but for the most part, he's still a fairly Trump-friendly Fox News host. Before we get to his segment, in which he and a retired general condemn this move by the Trump administration, I want to give you a specific update. Fox News and Newsmax are among journalists who turn in their access badges and exit the Pentagon rather than agree to new reporting rules. This is the latest censorious policy by Pete Hegseth and the Trump administration to crack down on journalists because, of course, they don't give a damn about free speech or the free press. And it's so bad that even Fox News and Newsmax is like, whoa, hang on there, Chief. So we've seen the written statement, but now Bret Baier and this retired general, I believe General Keane, if I remember correctly, they spend 4 minutes calling this shit out in vociferous language. Check it out.
I want to talk about the Pentagon and covering the Pentagon. There are these new stipulations, new rules that have been put out, and we in the media, along with all the networks and also newspapers, had a media statement to respond. It was due today, and here it is. Today, we join virtually every other news organization in declining to agree to the Pentagon's new requirements, which would restrict journalists' abilities to keep the nation and the world informed of important national security issues. The policy is without precedent and threatens core journalistic protections. We will continue to cover the U.S. military, as each of our organizations has done for many decades, upholding the principles of a free and independent press. That's ABC News, CBS News, CNN, Fox News Media, and NBC News signing that. Here is the Secretary of War at the...
So this is just, let's stop right here. This is stunning. This is just legitimately stunning. The written statement alone, which Bret Baier is now repeating on screen on live TV, talking to a retired general, like, hey, man, this is your former department. This is the Defense Department. This is the Pentagon. This is where you used to live, so to speak. What the hell is going on? Do you understand how in the age of Trump, the vindictiveness and pettiness of Donald Trump, a man who is more emboldened and empowered than ever, for Fox News, which is indeed, I think for most part, the propaganda arm of the Republican Party, who grade Trump on a curve, who have enabled Trump, ironically, to do the very thing that they are now condemning by sanitizing Trump, by laundering Trump's foibles, his censorious instincts. I mean, it's ironic that Bret Baier has, I would argue, played a role in this, but Fox News as an institution has played a role in this that allowed Trump to do the very thing that they're like, whoa, holy shit, don't do that. For them to issue this statement, I'm not saying that they're heroes, but I am saying it is remarkable that it's so bad that even Fox is like, yeah, not good at all.
The cabinet meeting in his interpretation of what all this means.
You have to wear a badge that identifies that you're press, or you can't just roam anywhere you want. It used to be, Mr. President, the press could go anywhere, pretty much anywhere in the Pentagon, the most classified area in the world. Or also that if they sign on to the credentialing, they're not going to try to get soldiers to break the law by giving them classified information. So it's common sense stuff.
Kind of simplified it there than what's on the paper. I covered the Pentagon for 6.5 years. I covered the White House for 4 years. I covered the Pentagon when you were there.
Yeah, right.
And we knew not to, you don't walk into the tank, and the classified areas are off limits. We obviously were always trying to get the story from different elements, and there was a freedom, but everybody had badges with them. At the White House, I never walked into the Oval Office or the Situation Room. These are stipulations that essentially are changing the dynamic about how to get information and how they disseminate information.
So the general's about to respond, and again, he's even more vociferous in his condemnation than Bret Baier is, which is interesting because you would think like he would be more sympathetic to Pete Hegseth or to the Defense Department at the moment. He's like, hell, I'll go one further. Just hang on for a second. Again, what Bret Baier is saying, like he's doing in his very polite way, is he's saying that Pete Hegseth's full of shit. This stuff that Pete Hegseth is saying that is a problem, it's never been a problem. It doesn't happen. This is a censorious solution in search of a problem to justify it. This is really about something else. And so I appreciated him going, yeah, this is bullshit, right? This never happened. It certainly didn't happen while I was there. Now listen to what the general says.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like the whole story is being told to our viewers here. What they're really doing, they want to spoon feed information to the journalists, and that will be their story. That's not journalism. Journalism is going out and finding the story and getting all the facts to support it. And no one's going to walk in and bang on the door of a four-star general or senior civilian policy leader in the Pentagon. I never had that, but I did have journalists chasing a story of something that was going on in the Army, and those things were legitimate.
What a hell of a thing to hear from a Fox News analyst and former general saying, hey, listen, you're not actually telling the full part here. Here's the full part. Here's the true context. The Trump administration is not only trying to censor the press, it is trying to select what information that you may report on. They are trying to spoon feed you. They are trying to cherry pick and gerrymander not only your avenues of information, but your very reporting. They are trying to crush the notion of what they call the fourth estate. I almost said the fifth column, not the fifth column, the fourth estate, which is what the press is. That is a form of civilian and citizen check on the government that isn't enshrined in law. It's not a branch of the government. It sits deliberately outside the government, but engages with the government and holds all the government, the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary to account. And this general is saying they're trying to upend all of it. And that what Hegseth is talking about is pure nonsense as a way to give a thin pretext and rationale to indulge in his censorious instincts.
And if anything, what would frustrate us in times is we didn't beat you to it. And something bad is happening, and we're getting our act together to do it. And sometimes, let's wait a couple of days before we talk about that, and you guys are on it. And that's journalism.
And we know the stipulations about classified information, and if there are leaks or there are situations, there are investigations many times that lead to that. But in the day-to-day, for military families, for military, us being in the Pentagon is usually an asset.
Yeah, I have never, ever seen it. I mean, when I was a four-star general, I insisted that all our new brigadier generals get a class a few days on what the role of the media is in an American democracy. These are often new generals. And then I wanted them to practice and get interviews and how to deal with the realities of this, because they have all these incredible warfighting skill sets, but dealing with the media isn't one of them. And so the education of them was very important to me, so they would welcome and don't see the media as something to be intimidated by. See the media as your conduit to the American people. And that's how I always saw it and believed in supporting it. There were times when stories were done that make me flinch a little bit. Yeah, but that's usually because we had done something that wasn't as good as we should have done it.
Well, we're all standing in solidarity, almost all of us, and we hope that changes. We'll see where this policy goes. General is all.
Again, I wish Fox News specifically, like Bret Baier, and not just in terms of the written statement. The written statement was very clear, and I appreciate that. I wish in terms of his coverage, he would be more fired up the way I imagine he would be if the shoe were on the other foot and this were a Democratic administration. But I appreciate that he at least was very clear that this is a problem, and real shout out, real kudos to General Keane, who had every incentive to offer the more sympathetic view to Hegseth and declined to do so. So good on them. Good for the written statement, good for the commentary, good on Keane's vociferous condemnation. And now I actually want to do one last thing before we go, which is one of Fox News' top legal analysts, a guy I make fun of all the time, Jonathan Turley. This guy is He's like Andy McCarthy, but I think just objectively worse. I think he's terrible in terms of he will always look at things. I shouldn't say that. He will almost always look at things through a partisan valence, even more than McCarthy does. But even Jonathan Turley is like, this is not good. So again, this is one of Fox News' top legal analysts. He's one of their favorite attorneys. And a pet of the Republican Party. Republicans love bringing him in to testify before their committees in their hearings. So here's what he had to say. I previously criticized the new Pentagon policies for media organizations. While the Trump administration made some changes, the rules remained unduly restrictive and unprecedented. As a result, virtually every news organization, including Fox News, refused to sign the agreements at the deadline, a decision that I strongly support. So let's take a look, okay? The changes will effectively bar most media from the Pentagon, undermining the department's ability to work with reporters to ensure accurate reporting on military operations. The Pentagon Press Association objected last week that a revised policy that still seeks to prohibit journalists from soliciting unauthorized information in addition to accessing it. It said that the rules appeared to be, quote, designed to stifle a free press and potentially expose us to prosecution for simply doing our jobs. The PPA added that the revised policy, quote, conveys an unprecedented message of intimidation to everyone within the DoD, warning against any unapproved interactions with the press and even suggesting it's criminal to speak without express permission, which is plainly not. Okay, so again, what a hell of a thing for the PPA to say, and for Turley to basically say, to repeat that as if he agrees, coming from a conservative Fox News lawyer, that what Trump is doing is unprecedented. The relationship with the press can be strained at times, and tensions with the Trump administration are notoriously high. However, this is a beat that requires close and ongoing communications to keep the media and the public fully informed of military policies and programs. The organizations refusing to sign include outlets that are viewed as supportive of the Trump administration with large conservative audiences. Many of us have joined the Trump administration in criticizing the bias of most media outlets. Indeed, the public reflects the same criticism in polling, with the media at record lows of public trust. However, this move is gratuitous and self-defeating. Despite the anger at the media and the need for serious reforms in many outlets, we need to protect the free press, which plays a critical role in our constitutional system. Thus far, only One America News Network, OAN, has agreed to the new regulations. As I stated earlier, I am dubious about possible legal challenges over access to the Pentagon. Other agencies, such as the CIA, do not allow general access to the media. The administration, in my view, has the advantage in challenges over such rules. So he's saying legally he thinks it's safe, or at least it's going to be difficult. But he believes in spirit, in principle, that this is wrong and censorious. So we'll see what happens. But again, it says something where even Fox News is like, shit, God damn it, Trump. No, you are being you're being censorious. You're engaging in unprecedented attacks on free speech. And I'm sure it stung them very deeply for them to admit it, but I am glad that they admitted it. Now I wish they would take the two next steps, in not only being consistent and loud about this, but also engaging in some self-reflection, like, you guys enabled him to be in this position to do what he's doing anyway. And people like me and other liberal, progressive, and Democratic commentators were like, holy shit, this guy's really censorious. He's not a free speech warrior. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a liar or a moron. And you were the ones telling people that he was pro-free speech when he's objectively not. So we were right, you were wrong, and maybe you should take what we have to say a bit more seriously, since when it comes to predicting Trump's worst instincts and worst foibles, we tend to be right and you tend to be wrong. Just food for thought, Fox News, if you're watching. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.